I'm reading a book right now called Dopamine Addiction.
Ooh,
Have you heard of it?
I have not.
So I heard of it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, we're actually addicted to dopamine, right? The hit that we get from whatever substance or thing of choice. And then I went on a hike last weekend with a friend, and she said something about the book. And I was like, okay, I've learned enough to know.
Yeah.
2 hits, right? 2
Yeah.
breadcrumbs. Maybe I should check this out. And so I went and downloaded it and started listening to it. And it is shocking how those dopamine hits are what we're going for, regardless of what it is. That is our choice. And I think for me, and I think a lot of people are this way, I thought addiction looked a certain way or had to be a certain way. And I was trying so hard to escape that toothless, homeless, living under the bridge version of what I thought rock bottom and addiction was. And I had myself fooled. I was lying to my fucking self because I didn't look like that. And I was fully functional, arguably sometimes, but high level functional.
High level functional.
That, you know, like when you're the number one person in the nation, nobody's trying to stop you. They're like, okay, keep going, do what you're doing because it's working.
Yeah.
And where it really came through for me recently, Jim, was I'm reading Dopamine Addiction, but I have read biographies for the past couple of years, specifically the past few months, for whatever reason, they've all been about addicts. Many of the biographies that I've read have had through lines through them.
Yep.
But the one that really just kind of floored me was Matthew Perry's. And I had avoided, have you read his?
I haven't, but I just got goosebumps because I saw Matthew Perry 4 months. No, I saw Matthew Perry 4 months before he went into one of his worst heroin addiction cycles at the Mandarin Oriental in Boston. And he was unrecognizable. And then they were telling me that he was spending $750 a day on the silk sheets in the hotel because he was passing out off heroin and burning holes in them, smoking cigarettes in this hotel room. So his addiction was costing him $750 a day.
Just on that.
Just in bed sheets. The Mandarin Oriental, the minimum room is $799. And you know he probably wasn't in the smallest, tiniest room that the Mandarin Oriental offers.
No.
So maybe he's spending $1,000 a day, $700 on sheet. Like that's like you think about it from a financial, what an addiction to just be completely okay every day burning holes in your sheets because you're passing out on heroin.
What really spoke to me, I mean, many points in the story, honestly, like as I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, that his problem that he's describing was not my same problem, but there are too many behaviors that are the same.
Yeah.
And that started to scare me. That was when I was like, oh God, okay, I didn't have a 55 pill a day habit, but some of his ways of behaving around what he needed to do to perpetuate that, yep, I was hiding shit, right? Like, oh my God. And again, I think for a while it was, okay, it's the substance. And you've probably heard me tell the story. Kevin called me out once. He's like, alcohol was not your problem. Alcohol was your solution.
Yeah.
And if you don't replace it with something that can effectively take its place in a good way, you're going to choose another thing, right? Because you're looking for the answer. And I think that's what our whole industry in many ways is, regardless of the specific type of industry, real estate, right? Like just coaching in general in the industry of, I think so many people are looking for an answer, that's where they're investing in things that they think are going to give them an answer, or that's the solution, or that's the way. And I'm not an addiction specialist, but I feel there's so much of people's behaviors around what we normally see in just addicted to substances are playing out in all these other ways because they're looking for connection, they're looking for answers, they're looking for the way.
Yeah.
And what really stood out to me with Matthew Perry was how, as a society, we allow the addiction to perpetuate when it doesn't serve us if it doesn't. And what I mean by that is, listening to Matthew Perry, I did not know it was throughout his entire life. I am a huge Friends fan. When I first went to listen to the biography a couple of years ago when he was still alive, I was like, I can't listen to this right now. His voice sounded too weird. It just sounded not Chandler, right?
Yeah.
And I know him as that. But books always find their way back to me. And for whatever reason, recently it stood out. And he was a full-blown addict, like pretty much his whole life. And the level of, or the number of times that it almost completely jeopardized Friends' success was shocking to me. And how much And I don't want to say anybody in that team or that production company that produced Friends didn't care about Matthew Perry, but they cared a lot more about making sure that the show didn't get jeopardized. And his dad even talked to Marta Kaufman, like one of the producers, one day. She was like, what are we going to, and he's like, if you don't give a shit about my son or act like you do more than you do about your show, you will never have your show again because I will not let him be a part of it. Wow. Like it had gotten that bad where they were having cars pick him up just so that he could go. And it was like, wow, we as a society do turn a blind eye, even in the face of it being so blatantly lethal for him to continue what he was doing. And then I watched Charlie Sheen's biography or documentary. Same thing. 2.5 Men. Like, we got to figure this out. How are we going to get him there? How are we going to get him to show up? And it's like,
well, it's also, you're talking about two massive production, massive network, celebrity status. And this is where it comes back to the things without a soul.
Yeah.
Like, this is the elite. The Friends is the elite show.
Yes.
Like,
still to this day,
you are a product. You are
Yep.
not a human. And that's what happens in some of those cases. And it's because society allows it to happen. It's the same thing as if you own a landscaping company and you know your number one guy is an alcoholic and you know that he's leaving work, drinking vodka till 1 a.m., getting up. He smells like alcohol. He's still buzzed, but it's never been a problem until it's a problem. He fucks up with one client. Now he's fired and he's an alcoholic and he's terrible. But for the last 9 years, he was the best thing you ever had on your team. Because you cared more about the dollar, more about the next gig, more about not getting a phone call on the weekends than you cared about someone's soul, heart, and health. And
it's
that
the same reason that the star quarterback gets to play, even though he raped the head cheerleader or whatever. Like, you know, like we see it play out in every way. Like, you can't compromise the Friday night game. It's our biggest rival. Like, he has to play. He's our...
Crazy.
I know, isn't it?
Crazy.
And it's so, I don't know. So Dopamine Addiction has been a really eye-opening book. And I'm reading Ozzy Osbourne's biography right now.
Nice.
Same thing, like the whole thing. My friend was like, oh, if you're reading addiction books, you should read Ozzy's next.
Nice.
And I don't know, it's just giving me, I want a different perspective. If that's who I am, and I am, then I want to understand more about myself because it certainly hasn't held me back from being really successful in life. So there's something to it that also, it's that same edge, right? It's like, ooh.
Well, it's also, as you're saying this, it reminds me of how many people in my life have gotten clean from addiction and taken that addiction and turned it into a business addiction. So like the first company I ever worked for, full-blown cokehead and alcoholic. The second corporate company, full-blown perkhead, alcoholic. Sober, fully addicted, business everything. And it was just, all they did was take this addiction and turn it into this. And it's rewarded because they made money and they grew the company, but they're still an asshole. They're still short-circuited because it's still an addiction. It's not truly them. So it's like, I've watched this happen in the companies I've worked for and the people around me. And it's like, you can't just replace it. To your point, you have to fix it. And it comes down to, how are you going to fix that?
And you can't fix what you don't know is broken or you don't understand. And that's, I think, where I'm at is like, oh, let me learn more about what that actually means because I don't want to have that. It's so tricky. Addiction is so fucking smart and sophisticated. And it tells you, no, it's okay. You can, it's just this one time. Regardless of what it is, right? I'm going to work late. I'm going to smoke this joint. I'm going to have this drink, this celebratory drink with friends. Like, I'm going to read this romance novel. Like, I can just do this. I can manage it, right? I've got it this time. I know better.
But it's the same thing. It's food addiction. It's any addiction, which is crazy because you think addiction is siloed to drugs and alcohol because that has the most exposure to bad things happening, whether it's death or injury or loved ones being hurt. But look at all the health addictions. Look at all the beauty addictions. Look at all the things that people are doing to their body. I have a friend who's a bodybuilder, and I respect him so much for this. He did his first professional competition, and he told me that it was like feeling like I was dying for the 9 weeks leading up to it, and he's never doing it again. And I said, dude, that is so crazy because the whole point of getting in that physique is to feel good and be healthy.
Right.
And you're telling me
And
you
it's
didn't
not.
eat and you didn't, and you thought you were literally going to fucking die. What have we done as a society to say, that's amazing, here's a medal of honor. You're so, it's still a health competition.
Right.
It should be called a beauty competition, or it should be called like a look competition.
Right.
There's nothing healthy about what that guy just did to his body to look like that. And did he look good? Yes. But knowing him, he's like, dude, I felt like I was dying for 2 months. Literally, I thought I was dying.
Right. And what is really the definition of looking good? We've just accepted that whatever that is, that these people are spray tanning and not eating and contortioning themselves into like a certain pose to look a certain way.
And I applaud the discipline. I applaud the consistency. I can't do that shit, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't right now. Like, not saying forever, but right now I couldn't do that tomorrow.
Right. Wouldn't
so
want
like
to.
I applaud that, but it's also like his perspective on it. I was like, dude, that is one of the most profound like you just put yourself through hell and realize that it wasn't healthy in a competition that is a health competition.
Right. And you're smart enough to know, hey, you know what? I don't want to do that again.
That I respect the shit out of that.
Like that's huge. Even though it's a part of what you do and what you're.
And he's a fit guy. I mean, he's jacked. He's huge. He doesn't need to feel like death for 2 months to go get a badge that says 1, 2, or 3 on him on his shoulder, and he just can walk around and
according
still look
to
good.
Somebody's made up competition with. I mean, that's the other thing. If you really go big picture, all of the shit is made up. Everything is made up. Somebody decided that some rule said that if you do this and you do this in this certain way and you do it for this many weeks and you show up and you look this certain way, then you get this certificate that says, and it's like, if you think about what aliens must think when they look at us, it's like, why do they give a shit about those certificates? Why do they, because none of it really does matter.
Yep.
We've just made it matter about our worth or about who we are or what it gets us in this world. And so we go after it. And I think you bring up a great point though, too. It's like the discipline. I think that's the challenging thing. The same skill that's needed to create good. Fire can create or destroy, right? The same substance creates and destroys. And that discipline, that will, that desire is absolutely the same thing that can be used to hurt you or to help you. Right? It's that saying, what is it? It's like, whatever is within you, if you bring it forth, will save you. Mm-hmm. Whatever is within you, if you don't bring it forth, will destroy you. And I think it's also intent, right? Like how you're using it. Like a car. You could go do a lot of damage with a car.
And now we're in a world of AI. I mean, you can do a lot of damage. You can do a lot of great things. And it just depends on what society is going to allow in the next 10 years to discern and to understand what that looks like.
I don't even know if we're going to get to 10 years. I think the whole universe might implode because we are going to fuck it all up with what we have access to now.
It's crazy to me that some people are completely fine taking an image of them and putting them in a scene or scenario or with certain people that they're never going to ever talk to face to face. They'll never actually know, and to make it look like they're hanging out with them or they're on the beach with them. And I get it. Like, do your funny stuff when it's like, this
funny.
is...
Here's me with John Mayer.
Yeah, like I get that, but like...
But even that.
There's a serious level around it. Like, people are trying to pawn it off like they're hanging out with Alex Hormozi or they're at acquisition.com, and they're not.
And it just takes one person to see it one time to think a certain way about you and go, oh my God, he was hanging out with Alex Hormozi, whether it's actually ever true or not.
But subconsciously now you buy a product from me 7 years later based on a lie, a fraud, a fake, a phony.
And again, we're back to
a fugazi.
May the best marketer win. Like,
speaking of marketing, let's talk about your last journey. So you did 30 days, 10 posts a day on social. How did that go? What emotions came up? What good, bad, ugly friendships, connections? Like, pour it on me. How was it?
I will say, if I had to just sum it up in I think that was my absolute favorite part, connections. Just across the board, whatever kind of connections we're talking about, the fact that I learned about people that I didn't know that well, that I was connected to on Facebook, got to know them better through conversations and comments. The fact that I felt more connected to myself and what I really wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, I think was the biggest win of all.
I could see it. I don't think it was there in the beginning, and maybe I'm wrong, but I could see it change. I could see photos come out. I could see stories being told.
Yeah.
Because you were forced to come up with stuff, and it was you. It was the truth. It was honesty. It was Nicole.
Yeah. It was my fuck it filter went down too. I was like, I mean, who cares? Like, let's just put it out there, right? Because here's something else I learned. Nobody's going to see it anyways. Now, I don't mean nobody, and you get what I mean by that. But, and it took me back to many, many, many years ago. It was probably like 2018, 2019. And I was sitting in my therapist's office having a big spin out over not wanting to post anything online. Because I'm like, I don't know. And what if I say the wrong thing? And this is before like cancel culture really got super extreme, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just had such insecurities around what to say. And he goes, Nick, just let it rip. Nobody's reading your shit anyways. And I paused and I cried. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, oh, you're right.
It's that easy.
You're right. Nobody's actually seeing it. And so that was a big piece for me going into this. I was like, well, I know this isn't about visibility, but I know visibility is going to be impacted. I mean, I'm a business, right? Yeah. Visibility is important. It's helpful. And certainly it's going to be impacted by it. But why does visibility matter if I'm not my true self? If I'm not really showing up as the authentic version of me, right? And I would never say that I'm the kind of person that wants to or does show up inauthentically. But there's this argument in my head that's like, is it a lie if you withhold the truth? Right? And so let's relate that to this. I'm not saying we have to express every single thing in our head out there, but like if you're withholding parts of yourself, isn't that still being somewhat inauthentic?
I would agree, yes.
Right? And it came up for me like that because, I mean, many years ago I had a boyfriend that like, he never lied. There were just certain things he didn't tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, but
I went on the trip with the boys. There was also 7 other women in bikinis, and we did skinny dipping, but I didn't tell you that.
Maybe they all slept in my bed, but I didn't tell you that. And I didn't tell you that it didn't happen, so I didn't lie. And it's like,
that's not true.
Let's poke some holes in that. And so to me, that's kind of what was coming through, because when I first started thinking about doing this challenge, this 10 posts a day challenge, my own bullshit filter went off like, oh, whatever, no way. There's no way you can come up with 10 things to say. But it was also like, some people said to me, they were like, what do you mean 10? You already post a ton. Like you're online every day. My business was online every day.
Yes. And
all I mean by that is I own a business. It would be crazy not to market it. And I have systems and strategies in place so that content is always being shared.
Top of mind.
Top of mind.
Top of funnel.
And it's my content and it's my voice and it's me. And the majority of it is videos and it's real me. So it's not that I wasn't showing up. It's that I wasn't showing up, right? I was letting what was being fed through my business to social media be it. But I was like, but I mean, there's a side of me that I don't really show that's me that may not be important to who I am as a speaker, but yet it is because it's who I am. And I thought, well, what's the biggest challenge right now to me putting out more content? It's because I think it's got to sound a certain way or look a certain way to be good quality. But what does good quality matter if it's never getting put out? If you're not publishing it? Because in the name of like, well, I've got to spend more time on this post, or, I would spend hours on a post.
I was just talking to someone today and I was telling them that you have this product, you need to go to market. And I was literally talking about social media. Like you have an idea, put it out on social media because you need to, same thing like this product, you need to get it to the market. Let the internet tell you if you're crazy or if you're an idiot or if that's the smartest thing I've ever heard.
Free market research.
And not have an attachment to it.
Yeah.
Like if you can do that, and same with your MVP, your minimal viable product.
Yes.
If you don't have an attachment to it and no one buys it or 3 people buy it and they rip it apart and it breaks and this AI didn't do work and this automation was fucked up, then all you do is just make it better and build the relationship with those people. Maybe you refund them the first month. Maybe you give them the next upgrade for free, but like get it to market and see what happens. And it's the same with social.
Yeah.
Put it out there. And guess what, folks? There is a delete button.
Yeah.
I've posted shit and I'm like, wow, I thought that was really smart and funny and no one laughed. Delete.
Delete.
And I've also been like, fuck it.
care.
I could care if it's out there or not because I think it's funny.
Yes.
There's been stuff where I'm like, actually, that wasn't funny. Maybe I should delete that.
Right. I thought I was
like,
funny and I wasn't.
Why not put it out there?
Well, and
how does that hurt you most?
I'm curious to hear your experience with this. I had this experience even before the 30-day challenge that I did, but I didn't want to honor it, admit it, or I always thought it was just a fluke. The stuff that I almost didn't hit send on, the stuff that or post or send or whatever, the stuff that felt too close to the heart, the stuff that felt super, what would people think about me if they know I think this way or had this thought or did this thing? That's the shit that blew up every time. That's the stuff that was like,
you can't expect elite results living in a neutral world.
Yeah.
Pick a side and be completely content with some people are going to hate you for it and some people are going to love you for it. Yeah. But if you just stay neutral, you don't exist.
Yeah. You sound like everybody else.
You just blend in.
You're in a sea of same.
You are ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's what you are if you don't have an opinion on things.
And I think opinions are important, but it also doesn't mean, like, polarization is important, right? Because it's your job, whatever you do, to help people pick a side about you, right? And some people are going to like you and some people are not. And we can't be attached to people liking us, or we can't need people to like us. Now we're back to, needing something outside of us to give us our worth, right?
Internal, yeah.
But I think that's the hardest part. I know it is for me in many ways. It's like, I'm just going to have to be okay with people not liking me. And why should everybody like me, right? Like, I don't necessarily have opinions or feelings or thoughts that are the same as everybody else, and none of us do. But if we're not showing up that way, I feel like it's unfair to the people who are following us, because it kind of goes back to that lie thing, right? If you're withholding, like, and I don't know, I guess I'll take a step back and say this. I don't think this is Dear Diary. I don't think that this is you have to share everything under the sun that you've ever done in your life. But if you show up even more authentically as to who you are, it gives other people permission to be who they are. And I think that's what really came across to me in a bigger way, because you mentioned this earlier. There were a ton of people reaching out to me privately, not just commenting on my posts online, but sending me a DM, sending me, hey, what are you doing? What is this 10 posts a day? Tell me more about it. Mm-hmm. I want to learn more about it. I think I want to do a version of it. I think I really like what you're doing. It's fun seeing you dance. Because what people were seeing, and this is probably my biggest takeaway from all of it, is freedom of self-expression. And I don't think that there's, in my opinion, a higher freedom than self-expression. I think when we give ourselves permission to express in the way that is true for who we are and what we think and what we feel, it's one of the most valuable things that we can do while we're on this planet, because that's what we were put here to do.
You're aligning with yourself. You're
aligning with yourself. And we are all created in God's image, in God's likeness. Like, we are an extension of the collective. And it's our job to push those limits based on who we are and how we want to express in the world. And the reason that I had all those people reaching out is not because my content was so great. It's not because my dance moves that I was dancing in the kitchen cooking dinner were like so on fire that people were like, those dance moves are hot, let me reach out to her. It's, holy shit, she's being herself.
And I want that.
And
too.
I want that. Yeah. I want that freedom of expression. It feels so liberating. So I think that's really the takeaway for me, is my yes wasn't about me. And it's never about any of us when we give ourselves permission to show up bigger and play a bigger role in this world. It's because that yes is actually what sets somebody else free. And we make it about us. I'm raising my hand, right? The cheese does not stand alone here. We make it about us because we're like, well, what will people think of me? It's not about what you're saying and what you're doing. It's about the fact that you're doing it.
Yeah, it's you being you.
And I mean, to me, that was a big thing with, and I'm not going to take a side on anything here other than what I really believe about this, but Charlie Kirk's murder was a big deal. It was a very polarizing thing on social media at the time that I was doing this 30-day challenge. And I was like, well, do I want to say anything about this? I don't know. I didn't even know who the person was until he was killed. But what I can find my way around in relation to what I was doing with my 30-day challenge is how fucking cool it is that somebody felt that free to say who they are and what they feel, whether anybody agrees with it or not. He was exercising this beautiful right that we have in this country to self-express.
Yep.
And if you go to a lot of other countries in this world, they don't have that right.
You're shot the first time,
You're shot the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
But that to me is like, well, let's look at the heart of what was actually going on. Yeah. And that's where I saw a relationship to what I was doing. People are going to take sides. People are going to not like what you said. But at the end of the day, what is still appealing is that you are giving yourself that freedom to self-express and show who you really are.
Yeah.
Show your weaknesses, show your insecurities. I mean, if we were to go to the heart of like what really made me want to be a professional speaker, I can't remember a time in my life where I didn't. But what really gave me the permission was in 2018 when I saw Mel Robbins stand on a stage in all of her glory and all of her I'm still a shit showness and go, I'm at this conference where she just stood in front of 6,000 people and was herself and delivered this speech, even though she has other things that she openly talks about that are like weaknesses of hers. And she got paid to do that? To inspire people and be herself? Holy shit. And that was like what clicked for me. Yeah. It's like the dream was always there. The possibility, not as much, because I thought that it had to look or be a certain way. Right. And so that was probably my own self-expression, my own self-trust and self-confidence that I knew would happen through, I mean, the refinement is in the reps, right? Like you said, towards the end, you're like, you were just like more authentic than I've ever seen or heard you
rolling through it. Yeah.
Because you get to the point where you're like, well, what am I going to say today? I got 10 posts I got to say, right? Let's dig a little deeper. What else you got there? And some of it was just kind of what you said, like letting the market tell me what it liked. And as scary as it was, sometimes they liked the shit that I really didn't want to share because it felt so close and so personal and vulnerable.
Well, that's just a social media strategy of engaging and bringing in conversations and leads that are aligned. Mm-hmm. That is always going to be the best type of content. Mm-hmm. In the marketing company, it's the biggest struggle we have with clients. I shoot them, and it's a side conversation where they're fired up. It's the truth, and they don't want to put it out. Yep. And we don't. So we put out a scripted piece of content that does not many, 500 views. Yep. When I know if we release that one that you didn't want us to release, that would get your 2,000-3,000 views. And that's what people want. Yeah. That's the hardest thing in the marketing company to explain that, because most of the clients won't put out that content, and they don't put out that content, and that content dies. Yeah. You were talking about content dying. Yeah. We see a lot of great, and I tell Caitlin all the time, like, to the grave, because that's fully edited. That's you. That's a conversation you didn't even realize we were recording probably. Yeah. It was a back and forth dialogue where I know a camera's recording, so I'm shutting the hell up. Right. Right? Because I'm like, or I'm trying to. Sometimes I'm guilty of, oh, fuck, Jim, this is a podcast. You're shooting content for that person. But that's exactly what happens. And it's like, to the grave. Yeah. But like, that makes sense to me. That's who you are. That's passionate. I can see the energy. I can feel the energy. Yeah. And some of the best hooks, like you were saying with your coach several years ago, is that honest, raw, real emotion. Yes. So yeah, and that's what people want, because I'll say it again and again, 80% of stuff out on the internet is noise, and it's ChatGPT. And I use ChatGPT every single day, and I literally can get to the second line and be like, this is copy paste. And I can call it out like that. Yeah. And it's fine. Some people, I can actually put effort into it, but a majority don't. Yeah. And I think that's the tough part. I just lost all credibility with that brand. Yep. I just wasn't enjoying any scrolling, and I don't do a lot of scrolling anyways. At least I try not to, because I just find that it's an addiction. It does me no good, right? But actually creating and posting is something that, as a thought leader, I should be doing every single day, right? Like I have thoughts to share. I get paid a lot of money to stand on a stage and share them. Like, why should I not post every day thoughts that can help somebody, that can serve somebody, and that allow me to, I heard this, a friend of ours, actually, Terry Weaver, said recently at an event that I was at, he said, the two most important things you can deploy in this world are your perspective and possibility.
for anybody across the board. Like, your perspective matters.
Totally.
I don't care if you speak on stages or consider yourself a thought leader, or you fix toilets as your, day to day, but like, your perspective,
there's a place for it.
There's a place for it, always. And, social media is this great free tool that allows us to show up and talk about what matters to us. And I think that allows people to then go, oh, me too. Or that's actually makes me feel better, because now I know it's not just me. And there's this saying, what's personal is universal. And I think that's where we all just have our guard up, and we don't want to let people that close because it feels scary, like we're the only one. But every single time, you're not the only one. And every single time, it does give somebody liberation in their own life in some way, to know that they're not alone in that battle, that struggle, that challenge, that thought. And I think just the level of fakeness that I felt like I was seeing when I did go on social media and scroll, it made me not want to be on it at all. I was like, everything on LinkedIn is fake. It's all ChatGPT written. Everything on so many platforms are just people going through the motions. And is anybody actually reading anybody's stuff? What's the point? So that was a big part of my challenge too. Like, everything that I did was created in the moment. I did not use ChatGPT, and I'm a ChatGPT user. So this is not about bashing ChatGPT.
But you can feel it. That's what I was trying to get at.
Absolutely feel it.
It's a completely different vibe, energy,
totally,
and a relatableness that's honest. Totally. And I think that's where that ickiness doesn't feel that. And that's probably why there's a lot of conversations and DMs and messages, because
it could be felt.
They are consuming it, and they're knowing it's you, not AI.
100%. It could 100%, even though there's no real way to prove whether somebody created something with AI or not. One of the things that I realized in doing this challenge is it can be felt. It was felt by me, the creator. I was so much more proud and excited about what I was publishing and putting out into the world, even though sometimes I'm like, that was good. Come on, 3 people liked it. That was good, right? Like, there would be frustrating times where I'm like, that was good shit. More people should have liked it. And then I'm like, that's what people liked? That was a random thought I had in the shower that as soon as I got out of the shower, I just posted this one-liner and it like blew up. Are you kidding me? But no matter what, it was more exciting because I had literally in that moment thought of something and not censored myself and not filtered myself, and it could be felt by people when they read it.
And you wanted to share it, and it was received.
So
you felt heard. You felt seen. Heard. And then that person was relatable back to what you were saying, so they felt heard and seen. And it comes back to the human connection of what the social media tool was meant to do.
Yes.
We've just, like everything, fucked it up.
Yeah.
So many ways.
We've created a clusterfuck of... I heard somebody call it the other day, it's not even social media anymore, it's interest media, which is true. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just the reality of how things shift. Like, we were given this tool, 2 decades ago maybe, when social media like really started to become a thing. And it's now morphed into, I guess it makes sense, right? So many of us are business owners or have thoughts to share with the world, that it's morphed into this, whatever's going to get saved or liked or engaged with is actually what's going to be shown to people, because they're all platforms. They want to keep people on their platform.
It's mainstream news.
Yeah.
It's exactly what the news is. Let's talk about murder and rape and trial cases and celebrities, because you're going to like it, talk about it, gossip, and share it.
Yeah.
Now the social media has become the same exact thing.
Same thing.
It's actually happening now is the budgeting, the cost of ads, advertising, paid, and the algorithm of organic forces you to do paid. So now it is mainstream. Now it is, the prices are increasing and your cost per lead is increasing. So now we are going to get priced out as the small businesses or the solopreneurs or the speakers or the folks with a team of 5. Like, we're not going to be able to pay for it. And it's already happening. Like, the cost of leads on Facebook has astronomically increased. And it's now going to be a big pay to play, be the big box. And you see it already on news outlets and media. I mean, we're doing a podcast right now in my home studio, but like, Trump was on all the major podcasts and feels that, and has openly said that his son Barron was a big piece to pushing him to do those podcasts, which is one of the big reasons why he got the most votes and beat Biden by so much, because he went to where the consumers are. And once people of that caliber and that cost and that money and that expense line items can get involved in this stuff, the prices skyrocket, and now it becomes full mainstream. We're
Yeah.
not there yet, but we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost going to be priced out of using it as a small business owner.
Well, I think that's also
And when I say small
important.
business, I mean like 5 million and below. Like
Right.
I'm not talking like I made 100K and I can't pay, 10K a year to this. I'm talking like
Right.
people making 5 million are going to struggle with these budgets to get the leads at the cost and the needs that they need to continue.
Well, the good news is what you and I love and speak on and what our platform is human connection. And to me, that's why, okay, if we live in a world where it's expensive to buy leads, why don't we just create an infrastructure for our own business where we don't need to pay for leads because we understand how to genuinely connect with people? I heard Phil talking about it on one of his videos that I saw yesterday, and he was quoting a statistic from Zillow. There were 30 million leads sold by Zillow to real estate agents. I might be wrong on the
11
numbers.
million transactions for the year.
It was like 5 or 6 million transactions for the year, right? The homes that were purchased. And it's like, so who's I forget how he said it. Who's the idiot here? The good news is you don't need to buy leads. Mm-hmm. You don't need any of that, right? So and he didn't name Zillow. He said it rhymes with pillow, or I don't know, whatever he said, I think that that's even more important for people to really decide what kind of business they want and what's required to make that. What is your MVP, right? What is your minimum viable product, your solution, whatever it is that you sell? And then what's required for it to create what you need it to create or want it to create realistically to operate and make it successful. Because I think that there's a lot of people chasing something that they don't really want because they haven't stopped for long enough to ask themselves, what is it? Does it need to be a 9-figure business for me to feel like I'm doing my thing in the world that matters to me? Or am I trying to get there because I think it measures me up in some way or gives me worth in some way or helps me compete in some way with something that I'm going to find out when I get there that I probably don't even want anyways?
I think worth is the big one, at least for me, in some of those comparison moments is I don't feel worthy if I'm not doing X or Y. And then I realize and look around and it snaps me back into reality. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful that I have that snap back, but I mean, I'm guilty of it. It happens. Yeah. I go in dips. I'm not perfect. Yeah. But yeah, I think it comes down to that worth of, well, that person got this or did this or got that recognition. And like, they, have studied human connection a fraction of me. Right. And they said one quote on it. Right. And it's like, that study came out 9 years ago I've been talking about. Right. And it's like, that doesn't create, I know the quote, they know the quote. We're right here, baby. Right. Just be like from an intelligence level or from a knowledge set or just because they got quoted on Forbes and I didn't, saying the same thing from the same study we read that we didn't conduct the study. Right. I feel like I'm less worthy, and it's like, I got to snap back out of that. But I fall into it. Yeah. It happens.
I think we all do because we end up making it, and this is probably a bigger, deeper conversation, but I've fallen into it. And when I do, I realize that's about me and what I'm trying to do. But what is business at the heart of it?
Serving others.
Serving others. Helping solve a problem that they can't or do not want to solve on their own. And if I really am showing that I know them, demonstrating that I understand the problem, and living in the solution to that problem, meaning I'm constantly demonstrating to people that I care about the problem that I know that you're struggling with, and I know that these are some of the symptoms of the problem that you're dealing with, and I've been there before, or I've helped people like you before, and this is the way out, and if this feels like the right fit for you, follow me for more value and opportunities. That's what we have to keep connecting to. And I have lost my way multiple times with that. And when I lose my way, that's when I feel stuck. That's when I feel overwhelmed. That's when I feel like I'm going through the motions. That's when I feel like what I'm doing doesn't matter. And it's like, no, just go get reconnected to who is the person that you help and what is the problem that you solve. Because that's what this is about. It's not look at me, it's come with me. And to the degree that we keep making it look at me because I'm trying to get to 9 figures. And I'm not saying that 9 figures or 8 figures or any number revenue amount is wrong, or if you want the G-Wagon, I want the G-Wagon, right? That any of that is wrong to have desires and goals. But when that's what it becomes about, I mean, that's like when I was at Airmark and I was number 1 and I was like, why don't I feel a certain way? I'm number 1 now. Doesn't the world know that I'm number 1? Because that means something about me. I've got this title. And I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to do the job anymore because I didn't want to be number one again. And I was so tied to that freaking identity that I couldn't even see through what it really was about. I'd lost my way. I'd forgotten. And here's me like not wanting to do the job, not wanting to get out of bed. And I was like, okay, what was this about before I was good at this? Like before I could say that I was the top person in the country, woo-hoo, what did I care about? What got me out of bed? And it was like, because I wanted to connect with people every day and see if they had the problem that I solve and if there might be a way for me to help them.
It's interesting you bring up identity because Caitlin just told me yesterday she was rereading Atomic Habits, and she was talking about how you have to change your identity to create the habit and hit the goal. And she referenced back to me not drinking. She's like, you change your identity. I don't drink anymore. And you haven't drank in 3 years. And it's interesting that you're bringing up the piece of identity and how important that is, but how that can change and you may not even know it.
Yeah.
So for instance, yeah, I'm not the person that drinks alcohol anymore. That's my new identity. I'm still that identity. But what other things have crept in? And this is what I'm saying. What other things have crept into my identity today that I need to kick back out?
Yes.
And there is a couple things.
Yes.
Like I've never procrastinated on my taxes and I haven't filed them yet for last year. That's like, I'm like, that's not, why is that part of my identity?
Right.
I haven't done that. I'm 36 now. I haven't done that ever. I've never not procrastinated. And you know, we got that extension this year and they're technically due like November 14th. So I'm not late, but I'm like, dude, get this procrastination out of my identity.
Right.
And I didn't even realize it until the damn taxes thing. So then I started looking at it and I was like, well, what else did I procrastinate?
Yes.
Well, it did take me 3 months to build the white picket fence out front.
Looks nice, by the way.
Thank you.
I was going to say it when I came in.
Like, that's because I procrastinated it.
Yeah.
Like usually I go, I want to build a fence, and I built it that weekend, and it took 4 weeks or whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, I gotta get this out of, and I started to fine tune and look at these other things. So it's interesting. You tie it to that identity, and then it becomes you, and it's like, well, without that reflection or without that, like, who am I today? Look, or what do I want to feel, or who do I want to be? We never really know what's crept into our identity, whether we wanted it or we didn't want it.
I think that it's
crazy.
And it's interesting.
It's crazy you're bringing that up because I haven't thought about identity in so long. I got to do a training on it now because I'm like, I've been reading it. I've been looked it up a little bit this morning online, and I'm like, this identity thing, I think also, and I had a conversation today with a business owner, and he was like, Jim, you taught me, you know, part of the conversations and relationships is you have to own the follow-up. Like it's work. You're gonna, maybe 10% of people will follow up with you, but you want a relationship, you need to own it.
Yep.
If they don't respond, you didn't provide enough value or good reason for them to respond,
You didn't
right?
have
So he's like, you
last 5 minutes of your last conversation. Own that shit and know. Yep.
So
Sorry,
like
I get a little excited about that as the sales coach. I'm like, yes.
We're talking about that, and it came back to that identity of like, dude, your identity starting today is you follow up with every relationship until they tell you or they've given you enough signs that they want nothing to do with you. He's like, that's going to be my new identity. I'm like, it starts today. So it's like, what do we need to bring into our identity and what do we need to remove?
Yeah. So
we truly feel aligned. We truly feel like we're moving and flowing in the right way. And I think that reflection.
Yes.
Ooh, we need it more than ever sometimes.
Because that's the creating your reality. That is because before you know it, I mean, obviously it was brought up in the book Atomic Habits. Before you know it, habits by design are meant to be at the subconscious level so that you're not aware of them. Because once you've built it in becoming a habit, you don't have to think about it. It just, right? There's this concept I heard of recently called autopoiesis. It's like the repetition of something again and again and again, right? Like that is, which is created will perpetuate forever. I don't know. I'm not like perfect on the definition, but a habit, that's what it is. It will keep going and going and going if it's not questioned. And I think you bring up such a great point too, is like the identity, if you are intentional with it, it goes back to what we said earlier. It's like fire. It will create. And if you're not intentional with it and you're not aware and mindful of it, it will destroy. Just like you said, procrastination slipped in. It's like, well, when did I become available for this? When did this become a part of it, right? And I think we've got to actively take inventory. I don't love the word necessarily, but take inventory every day of like, who am I being? I mean, the Christians had it, kind of right when they were like, what would Jesus do? It's like, you should be asking yourself every single day, what is my identity that I am growing into, expanding into, and what would she do? What would he do? What would that version of me say or do or think in this moment? And we have to take action from there. And it's interesting that I'm going to bring this person into the conversation, but as you know, I'm reading Ozzy Osbourne's book right now, his biography. And just this morning, of course, he's talking about identity. I kid you not. Like, of all people, for us to take a lesson from right now,
I know.
R.I.P. Ozzy, he said, the moment that I married Sharon, and there's a lot more to the story, but essentially the moment that I married Sharon is when I really became Ozzy. I didn't know it until this morning. His name is John Osborne. Because of his last name, people started calling him Ozzy. And Ozzy was his, I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Alter Ego Effect.
Yep.
But Ozzy was his, right?
Alter
And he
ego.
said from that point on, the reason that it was not full on Ozzy before that is his wife that he was married to before that, his family, his friends that he had known his whole life still called him John. And he's like, but from the moment I married Sharon, Sharon always saw me as Ozzy. And then I was always in this world of like, that's who I was. And that's the guy that created everything that I created in this lifetime. And that was the end of John.
I love it.
And it was so interesting to hear him talk about
it.
that on that level, because every single person who's ever done anything in their life had to create some level of identity. Like Beyonce's is Sasha Fierce. I don't know what Taylor's is. I'm sure there's a version of it that I should probably know as a Swiftie, but like every single person has had an identity that they've cultivated, and that's how they've done what they've done.
What a conversation today.
I know.
Thanks for bringing the heat, as always.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
go.
you.